Hello, in this video I am going to show you how you can build a community forum like this one right here, completely no code and in a matter of minutes using Webflow. So what really sets this solution apart is that you can use the Webflow designer to customize every single element of your forum. So for example, we can change the styling of this button here, and then we can also change the layout of different elements. And then we can also even add in interactions, and we can also add in our own custom images. And this is really just scratching the surface of what's possible. So this solution is really great if you value design. So instead of using a third-party community platform with cookie cutter design and limited design flexibility, you get complete design control in Webflow with this solution. Okay, before getting started with the implementation, I just wanted to quickly show you this solution in action. So the tool we are going to use to enable the engagement, content, and social aspect of the community is called Supersparks. And then this solution also integrates with Memberstack and Outseta. So you can pick between either of these tools to enable the memberships and auth functionality for your forum. So by auth, I mean sign up, log in, log out, etc. And both of these tools also offer payment features if you are interested in monetizing your community through one-time payments or subscriptions. And then the tool we are going to use to design and develop the forum inside of a website is, of course, Webflow. Okay, now I'm just going to jump over to the live website for this demo project. So currently I am logged in through Memberstack. So now if I just go to create a new discussion, first off, I'm just going to add in a subject. And then I can get started adding in the rich text content for my new post or discussion. And then I can also add in different formatting to the text inside of this editor. So for example, I can also add in an H2, and then it's also possible to add in inline images. So now I'm just going to select a topic, and then I'm just going to post the discussion. So after, I should be redirected to the published page for my new post, and then I can also add a comment. And I can also upvote my new post. And as you can see, my profile details from my Memberstack account are being displayed with my post or discussion in this kind of author/original poster section, and then also with my comments. And one additional detail is that community posts are being generated through the Webflow CMS. So if we just jump over to this posts collection, you'll see that the post that we just created is a new CMS item inside of this posts collection. And then if we just jump over to this posts collection template page, this is where the new pages of content for each individual post are being generated from. Okay, now let's get started with the installation. So the first step is to go to the Supersparks website, and then we're just going to go to the template library, and I will provide a link in the description to this page. So for this tutorial, we are going to implement the forum through a template. So first off, I am just going to select a forum template, and then on the forum page, if we just scroll down, you can see here that there are different clonables. So one for Memberstack and then one for Outseta. So for this installation, I am actually just going to clone the Memberstack version of the template. But if you're using Outseta, you can still follow along, and I will highlight the key differences on how to implement the template with each tool afterwards. Now, in this tutorial, I will actually be creating a new website from a template, which is the fastest and easiest method of implementing this solution. But if you have an existing Webflow site that you would like to add a forum template to, the process is slightly different. So I will provide links in the description to a tutorial that goes into more detail on how to do this. So you might have noticed that after clicking this clone template button, it should open up a new tab for a clonable of the template inside of the Webflow showcase. So next we are just going to click clone in Webflow. And then afterwards we are just going to click create site. And then I'm just going to give this a name. And then afterwards I'm just going to click this create site button. Okay, so after doing that, as you can see, a new Webflow project has been created from this template here. And then the next step is to implement Supersparks. So if we just now jump over to the Supersparks app, so I will also provide a link in the description to this. But if you haven't done so already, first off, you're just going to want to sign up to Supersparks. As you can see, I've already input all of my details, so I'm just going to click Create Account. And then after that's done, I can get started authorizing Supersparks to the new project that I just created from the template. So it's this one right here. So I'm just going to check this and then click Authorize App. And then after that's done, it should be redirected to this success page. And then if we just click Get Started, we should be redirected to the home page right here. So the first step is to click this button on the project that you would like to enable the community forum functionality on. So just going to click Add Sparks. And then instead of selecting individual features and adding them to our project, we're just going to start from a template instead by clicking on this tab. So next, I am just going to select the template that I just cloned, and then I'm just going to select the method of using the template. Okay, so after clicking continue, the next step is to select the membership tool you would like to use. So I'm planning on using Memberstack just for this tutorial. But if you're planning on using Outseta, just be sure to select Outseta here. So I'm just going to jump back to Memberstack and then click continue. So next, this is just a confirmation screen highlighting the different features from the Supersparks library that are going to be implemented in order to enable this forum functionality. Okay, so now we're just going to click Create Sparks to confirm the implementation of these different features. And then once that's done, we can get started adding this script into the head tag of our site settings. So if we just go to the custom code area, we can then paste this code snippet into the head code area and then click save. Then after pressing publish, we can proceed to the next step. Okay, now I think we can get started testing. So I'm just going to open up the staging version of our website. Then I'm just going to create our first new discussion as a guest. So as you can see, this template comes pre-installed with these guest name and email inputs. So these are completely optional, but yeah, these are just kept in case you were interested in making your community a hybrid one where both logged out visitors / guests can create new discussions along with registered members. And yeah, if you're planning on making your community member only, you can just delete these. But yeah, I'll show you later on in the video how you can leverage Memberstack and Outseta's gating features to only allow registered members to be able to post content or members of a certain group. For example, paid members of your community. Okay, so let's just add the rich text. And then, yeah, we can just, first off, just check that the community posting functionality is working and that new pages are being generated through the CMS. And yeah, it looks good right now. So I can also test the comment section. And then if I try to upvote here, you'll see that this pop-up interaction shows. So currently upvoting is only enabled for users that are logged in through Memberstack or Outseta. So just a heads up on that. Okay, so everything seems to be working with the community posting functionality and commenting. So I think we can now get started implementing our membership tool. So I'll just start off with Memberstack. So first off, you're just going to want to register for Memberstack if you haven't done so already. So as you can see here, I'm currently logged in. And then now I'm just going to create a new app for this project. Just give it a name and then click Create Application. And then after that's done, we're just going to add the Memberstack script again to the custom code or head code area of our site-wide settings. So I'm just going to paste it in here and click Save and then Publish. Okay, now that's done, I can get started testing. So just going to go back to the staging website and now I'm just going to register. Okay, so after doing that inside of this registration component for Memberstack that comes pre-installed with the template, I can then add a profile image. And then after doing that, I can get started creating my first discussion. As you can see, the guest name and email inputs are no longer visible since I'm logged in. And yeah, just gonna select a topic here and then click Post Discussion. And then as you can see, I get redirected to the published page for my community post, and then all of the profile details from my account are being displayed in this author section right here. Then now if I just try to upvote, that should also be working. Then yeah, the same thing goes for the comment section. Again, the guest name and email inputs are no longer visible since they're not really required while the user is logged in through Memberstack. And it's because when users are logged in, they don't need to provide these details again because those details are already connected to their account. Okay, let's try a comment now just to make sure everything's working. And yeah, looks good. So yeah, we have now successfully implemented a community forum, completely no code using Webflow. So if we just jump back here, looks like it's working here. So all of the profile details are also being listed with posts inside of this collection list element. Okay, so now I think I'm just going to show you how to implement this with Outseta. Okay, so I just followed the same steps in Supersparks, but this time for implementing the Outseta variation of the form template. So as you can see, I've added this code snippet to this new project for the Outseta forum. Okay, so after we can just, again, test this code. And yeah, again, confetti is showing up here, so everything looks good. So now we can get started implementing Outseta. So first off, if you haven't done so already, just be sure to sign up to Outseta. And then the first step is to add in the URL of your forum into your different auth and company settings. So first off, I'm just going to add the company website URL here. And then if we just jump over to the auth section and go to the sign up and login settings first, I'm just going to add in the URL for the forum, and then you can get started configuring the different sign-up settings. So for example, you can add in all of the different fields from the people or accounts table that you would like to include in the sign-up form. So for the purpose of a forum, some pretty important ones are, of course, the person's name. Profile image is also a good one, and of course, email. But if you are interested in collecting additional details to display with members' content, for example, company name, you could also do that. Okay, so once that's done, we can then move on to implementing the different embeds for the different auth functions. So first off, I'm just going to copy this code snippet. And then similar to how we implemented Supersparks, we're just going to go to the custom code area of our site settings, and then again, paste this code snippet into the head code, and then click save, and then publish. Okay, after that's done, we can then get started implementing the different auth function embeds. So there's different ways of doing this. You could, for example, embed the sign up form on a static page, but probably the easiest method for implementing these different functions is by configuring pop-up links. So first off, I'm just going to copy the sign up link. And then if we just jump back to the template that we just cloned, we can get started adding these links to different link elements. So the most prominent area for triggering these different pop-ups in the template are in the nav bar. So first off, I'm just going to add this URL to the link settings for the sign up link element. And then just going to do the same thing for all of the other three auth functions. Okay, so then I'm just going to copy and paste the login link into its respective element, and then do the same thing for the profile link. So this is where users would be able to update their profile details. And then finally, for the logout link, this is a bit different, but we're just going to, again, copy the URL for our forum, and then we're just going to paste it in here, and then copy the URL, and then we're just going to go back to Webflow and then to the link settings for the logout link element, and then we're just going to paste that URL. So now that's done, I think we can get started testing. Okay, so I've already been testing a little bit here. So I've already registered a few accounts. There's a few other aspects that I'm not going to go into too much detail with Outseta with their onboarding, such as setting up different plans. So if you are planning on making your community completely free, so you'll probably have to set up a free plan, and then you can also set up paid plans for different features of your community experience. But just for the purpose of this demo, I just have this free plan. Okay, so I am now logged in through Outseta. So now if I go to start a discussion, then add my content again, and formatting it, and then selecting a topic. So again, after pressing the post discussion button, I'll be redirected to the published page of my post. And then again, as you can see, my profile details from my Outseta account are being displayed in this author section of the post. Okay, so let's test commenting and upvoting, and if that's all working, we should be good to go. Okay, so yeah, we have a forum now up and running, this time using Outseta for memberships and auth functionality. Okay, so now feel free to get started adapting the design of every single element of the template. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's totally up to you how you would like to design your forum or adapt the template. So if you just go to the page selector inside of the Webflow designer here, you can find all of the different pages that make up the forum for this template. And then if we just go to this collection template here for posts, so this is where new pages of content for each community post is being generated from. So yeah, you can of course adapt the design. So for example, just adapting the font for the h1/subject element here. And one other detail worth noting is that if you were thinking of deleting a specific element from the template, just be sure to take a look at the attributes inside of the element settings, just to make sure there isn't an attribute starting with Supersparks, because these attributes are kind of crucial in order for enabling the forum functionality through Supersparks and Webflow. Now, I kind of touched on this earlier in the video, but if you were wanting to limit certain features to certain types of members in your community, this is where Memberstack and Outseta's different gating features would come into play. So I'm just going to quickly show you an example of me setting up something similar to this functionality here, where only logged in members are able to create new content on a website. So as you can see here, this element is showing to logged out visitors. And then when users are logged in, they are able to see the new discussion form and post content. But this is just one of many different ways you can customize your user experience for your unique business needs using these different gating features and Webflow. So I'll just briefly show you how to implement this for each individual tool. So for logged out visitors, we're just going to, first of all, create this element here that says something like, I don't know, log in to get started posting content. And then we can add a link here to the sign up page or login page, whichever one you want. Then yeah, we can just add a bit of spacing or padding here. And then we just want to make it so this element only shows to logged out visitors. So the easiest way of doing this is to just use the Memberstack app. You can probably just find it in the side navigation for the apps section. And then once you launch it, you just have to select the element that you would like to only show to logged out visitors. So as you can see, an attribute just gets added here after clicking on this option. And then for the form itself, we only want to show this to registered and logged in members. So we're just going to, again, use the app. So the content type is logged in. Okay, so now if we publish and then just open up this page. So since I'm logged in, I can see the form and post content. But now if I just log out and then go to start a discussion, you'll see that this element here that's super ugly, I'm sure you can do much better. But yeah, basically this is now showing instead of the form. So now if I log in, you'll see that if I go to create a new discussion, the form is now showing and the block telling users to log in order to post is no longer visible. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly show you how to do this for Outseta. So for Outseta, it's also probably easiest to use their app or their designer extension inside of the designer. So the section or function we want is for protecting content. So for the form, we're only going to show this to authenticated users. So we're just going to add this attribute here by clicking this button. And then for this element here, we're just going to make this display only to anonymous users. Okay, so that is the process for gating certain elements. It's also possible to gate entire pages using both tools and also gate certain elements and pages as well to different membership types, for example, paid subscribers. But I will also provide a link in the description that goes into more detail on how to do this for each individual tool. And then, yeah, of course, if you're planning on making your community member only, you can just delete these guest name and email inputs. Okay, before ending this video, there are a few additional features I just wanted to highlight. So the first is the topic/category reference collection. So as you can see, when new posts get created, the topic that I select in this select input is getting referenced in another collection. So this is enabling this functionality here where users can navigate to landing pages for each individual topic and see all of the posts filtered for that specific topic. So in order to change these topics from the ones that come pre-installed with the template, I'm just going to show you how you can adapt one of these existing ones and also add in new ones. So for this one, for miscellaneous, if we were interested in changing it to, I don't know, for example, cyber security, we're just going to change the name. You can also change all of these other fields, but I'm just going to skip that for now. And then it's also just important to change the slug as well to reflect the new topic. Okay, so after saving this or republishing, we're just going to go back to the Webflow designer and then just go to any page with this new post form. So just this static page here with the rich text editor. And then if we just go to the select input, we can then adapt the choice for the CMS item that we just updated. So one detail that's super important for ensuring that this feature works is to make sure that the different CMS item slugs for each topic or category is the value for its relevant choice inside of this select input. So for the miscellaneous item that we just changed to cybersecurity, we're just going to copy, again, the slug for cybersecurity and then just paste it as the value for this updated choice. And then the text can be anything you want, so it doesn't have to be the name of the CMS item. And then if we were interested in adding an additional one, so for example, finance discussion, what we would just do is, again, copy this slug, and then we would just go to the select input. Then we're just going to paste the slug as the value here. Okay, so now that's done, we can test this out. So, okay. So now if I just select the new topic and then click post discussion, you'll see that the finance discussion topic is being referenced in this new post. And then if we just go to the finance discussion page, the post that I just created is being filtered. Okay, so now there are a few additional things I wanted to highlight about the Supersparks app. So if we just jump over to the Supersparks editor and then just go to the project where we implemented the template. So there are all of these different Sparks here. So Sparks are basically different variations of our different features. So for example, if you were interested in enabling this community posting functionality where users can create new pages of content through the Webflow CMS for a different collection, you would create a different Spark for that different configuration of this feature. Or if you were interested in adding a comment section to a blog separate from the actual forum with different settings and configurations or components, you would also create a new Spark for a new comment section. So yeah, since a lot of these Sparks come pre-installed with the template, you can see what they are here. you can just click on these. And then if you just go to the settings section, you can then adapt different settings. So for example, when you are notified when a new post gets added, you can also configure a webhook. And then, yeah, also the different moderation settings. So you can make it so there is a layer of triage. So you are manually approving new posts before they get published to your website. Regarding that, if we just jump over to this area here that says manage content and click on one of these, we can then go to the Supersparks content dashboards. So this is where you can manage and moderate all of the content that's getting added to your site, and then also see who's posting and also the content history of different members. So for example, here, if I just wanted to delete this comment from this page here, you'll see that it's no longer visible on my website. But then I can also reapprove it. And now if I just refresh, the comment is back on this page. Now, most features of Supersparks come pre-installed with the different templates, but there are a few additional ones that aren't pre-installed that might be worth checking out. So if we just go to the community posting template Spark and then go to extra features, you can see all of the ones that are not installed yet. So for example, you can add in custom text fields or additional ones to the ones here inside of your community posting form. And then also you can even add in an image field, which is great for kind of header images for new posts. So I'll also provide links in the description for how to implement all of the different extra features. But there is one feature that we highly recommend, and that is for reply notification. So the way this works is that if a user's comment gets replied to or one of their posts gets a comment added to it, they are notified via email. So this way it just ensures that users come back to your website to continue engaging and keeping the conversation going. So yeah, I will provide a link in the description that goes into more detail on how to implement this. But basically we recommend just switching this setting on, and then you just have to follow the instructions in the tutorial for enabling different settings inside of Memberstack or Outseta so users can opt out or opt back in to these notification settings. And then this feature is also highly recommended. So adding in this webhook, so Supersparks is notified whenever a user updates their profile, in addition to updating their reply notification settings. So this just ensures whenever a user updates their profile details, for example, their profile image or name, that Supersparks is notified and that these profile updates are reflected across all of their content. Now, there's a couple of additional membership tool specific features or settings that can be applied to your community forum. So one of them is to enable username functionality. So this is best if you were interested in displaying an anonymous username with members' content instead of their actual name. So this kind of gives your community a layer of anonymity. Also, it's possible to display up to 3 custom fields of your choosing with members' content inside of your forum. So for example, if you were interested in displaying the website, profession, or any custom field from Memberstack and Outseta with members' content, so in the author section and with their comments, this is all possible through the different custom fields settings inside of Supersparks. And that's pretty much everything for today. Not to sound like a broken record, but we will provide a link in the description to our help center, which has more detailed guides and resources on how to implement every single feature. So yeah, thanks for watching. Do not hesitate to reach out to us at hello@supersparks.io if you have any questions, or feel free to leave a comment. And yeah, we cannot wait to see what the Webflow community ends up building with this solution. Thanks again, and take care. Bye.